This was just endorsed by the church. So I raised my little 7-year-old hand, and he came. He grabbed a hold of my face and slapped my hand, and everybody's eyes are closed. And he put his mouth up to my ear and he says, "You're just a stupid little kid. You don't know what in the world you're doing. Put your hand down."
Oh my God.
Well, I became demon-possessed shortly after that.
Oh my God.
I know about demons because, man, I started riding with motorcycle gangs at a very early age, involved in just hell. Demons lived inside of me. That I felt demons come inside my body. And so at the age of 17, I signed up to go in the Marine Corps and to go to Vietnam just to die, because I'd already tried to commit suicide 3 times. But I'm telling you that the only real peace is God. There is no life without God. Everything else is a dead-end street. And so I thought, man, I tried everything else, and it's no good. So at the age of 17, I recommitted my life. God proved himself to me. It's a long story. And I started living for God. And I said, man, you know, there's other people. That's the reason I'm in the ministry. Because I know, man, that the hell that I went through, there's a lot of other people. They need to be saved too. They need to have this life. One of the things that used to torment me the most is, man, some of these guys I used to run with, they're going to come in one of my church services and start laughing and say, "What in the world's that guy doing up there?" He definitely needs to sit down and let somebody else talk. Anybody in the whole church has got more rights talking than him. And that used to scare me. Man, that scared me. You know, I mean, I wasn't scared of a lot of things. You know, I mean, I've single-handedly fought buffaloes and elk, you know, and not afraid. Man, I was afraid of that. I was afraid that somebody's going to come in, and I didn't want to preach. And then finally, the Lord told me, he says, "You're a new creation. Old things have passed away." And they haven't come in yet, but I'm still waiting. And when they do, I'm just going to smile and say, "I don't know who you're talking about." That I know a guy that was like that, but he died.
Amen.
I'm a new creation.
Amen.
Old things have passed away.
Right.
I'm the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. Amen. And so, Jared, you got to remember that. You know, you focus on who you are now. Where are you going, not where you've been. Amen. Well, okay, so that's the first thing you do, is that you focus on getting rid of the problem. The second thing is what I've already been teaching you, is Romans in chapter 6 and verse 19. It says, "Even as you yielded your members to unrighteousness and unholiness, now yield them to holiness." And that word holiness is in reference to God. God's holiness is where it's God's power. And all of us have sinned, and it's easy to sin. We can all sin right now, anytime we want to. It's just so easy. You don't even have to be able to read or write, and you can sin. Well, God's more powerful than the devil, and so now we can surrender to God the same way that you surrendered. You just surrendered to God's holiness. That was God's holiness that went into you. That was God's holiness, God's power. And so the next thing that you do is that you surrender. Now, when you're praying for other people, you've got to teach them, because you can give it, but if they're not receiving, you know, one of the things that, like I said, I was raised in full gospel circles where people, they come up and they want to speak in tongues and just scream and yell and raise their hands and dance around while they're being prayed for, and they don't ever get healed. And I believe in emotionalism. I believe in speaking in tongues. I believe in worshiping God. But there's a time to worship God, and there's a time to receive. There's a time to give, and there's a time to receive. And so let's receive first, and then you can, just like this lady here, back here, she just danced all over the place last night. I forgot your name, from about 300 miles from here.
Laura.
But